Hey guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. We're getting the last thing set up here. We're in a little temporary situation. While you guys are waiting for me to kick this off, why don't you go share it around on Facebook or YouTube? I don't know why I'm not getting any of my YouTube comments in here, so if you guys are on YouTube, get a couple of comments and we'll see if they're coming through. But in the meantime, why don't you share this on Facebook or elsewhere? Get us a few more people watching. Oh. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Reef. A little bit different here. We still have Paul here, of course, and me, of course, Terrence, both of us from Neptune Systems. We're here with another episode. Thank you for joining us. I know we've got a bunch of you guys out there already. Hopefully you'll share it around and get some more. We're a week later than we generally would be on our schedule because we came back from MACNA.
We had MACNA, right? And there was a question that do you want to do it this week? And both Terrence and I looked at each other and we couldn't.
We came home.
We were tired.
Yeah, we came home late Sunday night, and we're going to talk a lot about MACNA here on this episode. What happened at MACNA? Have a little fun. You'll notice we've got some incredible backdrop now behind us, and that's not going to stay that way. But all of our stuff is still on the MACNA pallet on its way back.
It's still in transit, so it wasn't able to leave as early as it normally would have, like right from the venue or the next day, because of the hurricane.
The whole hurricane story, which we'll get into. Yep. Usually we have all these really cool lights. So if you've seen any of the videos where you see kind of behind the scenes, you see these nice light boxes.
Yeah.
We don't have those right now.
No.
We have like a Home Depot shop light, a desk light, and a little spotlight little thing. And the three of those together are like right in our faces.
Right.
So yeah, we look a little stunned. And yes, yes, there is a green screen behind us. A break. Woo! Look at that. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, we do have a green screen. We can have some fun with that today too, Paul. Because let's go take a look at what's happening
in the support area.
Yeah, in the support area. Okay, let's see.
They've all gone home.
Nobody's there.
Okay.
There's a couple of computers still on back there.
Right.
All right. Well, let's check the Apex Fusion control center room. Okay. See what's happening with Apex Fusion. Yeah. Wait a sec. Maybe we got a freeze in that video feed there, so that's not going to work for us. But that is where Apex Fusion goes on.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Now we'll go back on the back wall of the Neptune Systems building here with the old worn-out graffiti on the wall. But we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a different kind of show, I think, this time. We're not going to do a lot of technical stuff, but we are going to have fun, talk about what happened at MACNA. And it may not be quite as long, and it could be, but you would have to have questions to make it that long. Yes. So if you guys have questions, bring them through. We'll probably have somebody on the other side of the camera giving us the YouTube questions, because right now I'm only seeing Facebook ones come through. Don't know why. But I see Jan Pineda there and Dave Bell. I see more than one person telling us, oh, the YouTube stream is not showing up. Well, that's interesting, because it says it's sending data to it, but it's not online. Okay, so we're going to have to get that fixed up before the next one. So just tell your friends and neighbors to go onto the Facebook stream for now.
Right.
Obviously, the big question, when's Trident going to be available, Paul? That's your job, man.
Well, Terrence, we ship them every day. We build them every day. We test them
Liar!
every day. No, it's fact. And I believe you're going to present a little bit about that later as you talk about your MACNA presentation, your MACNA Meetup presentation, excuse me. We'll talk about that. If you have any other Trident questions, let us know. I made a big post out this weekend about some questions that people were having, the way that Facebook works. Sometimes people don't see those posts.
Okay.
So.
Well, let's kick right away first into some news that we have here. I don't have all these cool overlays on here because I am using a different computer than usual. But we do have some upcoming shows. I know this coming weekend, Tom is going to be out at the Philly Splash.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's in Philly.
It is in Philadelphia. That is about all I know about the show.
Tom says it's awesome.
Tom is super excited. So when Tom gets excited about something, it's legit, So
go out to the Philly Splash and give it a visit. Tom will be showing off all the Apex gear.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Aquatic Experience, which is in Secaucus. Did I say that right? Secaucus, yep. New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Where usually Reefapalooza is. Now they have a show there, the Aquatic Experience show. We'll be there with a small booth there at that event, but small but powerful.
Yes.
And so Tom will also be out at that one showing off product at that event. So that's another good one. And then we have Reefapalooza Chicago, first time we've ever done, or first of all, first time I've ever done an event for Neptune Systems in Chicago. I know you have.
Yeah.
I know others have. I've never been yet to an event. This looks to be like a big one.
I'm excited. Based on the shows that I have attended in Chicago in the past, being from the Midwest myself, I have a certain affinity for Chicago. So I'm really excited about that show. I think me, you, Vincent are going to be there for sure. I don't know who else from the crew is coming, but that's going to be a great show. Because the Reefapalooza guys are putting it on, and you couldn't have guys that were more, ready to pull it all together to make a great show.
Yeah, and all you Chicago guys that always sit there and drool in the general Chicago area,
right.
That drool because there's all these other shows, around the country. Mm-hmm. Now you get to come see our booth, see our setup and everything, and obviously get frags and all that at Reefapalooza Chicago.
It'll be the full setup, not a tuned down one.
Yep.
So be sure to come out.
And get to see all the cool stuff at the booth. So here's something that just came in today, Paul. I wanted to bring it up in the show. I wasn't planning on it, but we actually got this gentleman sent me a package, and I'm going to read it to you guys because it's so great. And he's actually a freshwater guy with a freshwater planted tank.
Yes.
And just out of the blue, I never, if I remember, if I spoke to the person before, I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it says, "Hey all at Neptune Systems, I have been finalizing my install. A work in progress for the last few years. I had the need to get everything committed to drawings and make copies. I just thought you might be interested in what I've been doing with your stuff, so I submit for your info. I love my Apex. It's hard to imagine managing my aquatic garden without it. Highest regards, Paul Graham from Independence, Missouri." So with this little letter that came these amazing drawings that I'm going to hold them up here for the camera.
Cow.
So he created these drawings, and they look like they're created completely by hand on a drafting table of his entire Apex setup, all of his backup stuff, his UPS, his electronics, all the different outlet numbers, everything. I know people have done crazy stuff like this before on the computer.
This is page 2
This is page 2 now. Page 2. It's all signed by him down below and everything. Oh, we're getting all broken up on the screen, but that's okay. It's really cool stuff, and even the lettering, it's all hand-done lettering with looks like a stencil.
Yeah.
Amazing that we have control freaks that go to that extent to get their aquariums all hooked up. So, thanks for sending that, Paul.
Very cool.
Hopefully, I'm going to send you an email. You can go look this up, and you got a Let's Talk Reef shout out
for sure,
which is pretty cool.
Might be some swag.
It might be some swag coming your way for taking the effort there.
We just love the commitment. I like between the control boards, engineering style plans,
for sure.
hand drawn. Right. It's just it's just really great to see you guys appreciating our product out there and making you more successful at what you're doing.
But when you go to that extent where you're actually hand drawing out everything, that's just crazy.
Even the lettering was etched in.
Yeah, it is
very cool.
So, of course, you guys know what we're going to be talking about mostly here at the show. If I can find my mouse here, Paul. Well, there it goes. There it goes. Is MACNA. Okay, we just came back from MACNA Orlando. This was a much anticipated event because Orlando is a great market.
Yes,
it was a great venue.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Disney.
Yep.
I have to say though that when I first got there, I got downstairs the next morning. I went to the little coffee place there and I ordered up an Americano, like I always do, a medium Americano.
Mm-hmm.
And Danish, and I get to the register, and she says that'll be $13.85. And I look, and I said, my wife's not next to me ordering something up, so what is going on here? $13.85 for a Danish and an Americano.
There was a Disney premium attached to many of just the average expenses.
Well, and if you wanted to go anywhere else, it's like a $12 Uber ride just to go anywhere. So they had you there, but.
It was funny as I was trying to train, get things to the show. Literally, Disney has its own zip code, right? And as soon as you put the Disney zip code in, everything went up by 20% in freight too. It was interesting. Yeah.
So yes, a little bit expensive, but what a beautiful place! What a great environment. But of course, as soon as we're packing up our stuff to go, not the booth, but like all of our personal stuff to go, you look on the weather, and here comes a hurricane coming on in.
Yeah, I left Monday on a red eye, night on a red eye, because there was a lot of things I was planning, and that day I think someone came up to me and said, "So are you ready for the hurricane?" I was like, it'll be fine. And little did I know the trouble that it would cause for the week.
Well, I had an image, but I don't have it up here right now. I was going to bring it, but what I think what gets left behind is where the tracks change, right? So when we first got there. And we were setting up on, you got there on Wednesday, I got there on Thursday. We start looking at Thursday, and it basically came up and went right into Florida.
Yeah.
Right through the middle of Florida.
When we first got there, it was Saturday night was going to be the hurricane. Right. And so it was like, well, there's not much we can do about it. We're just going to have to hunker in and see what happens. Then as things kind of progressed, right, it just went to a snail's pace.
Yeah,
right?
And then every hour somebody's like, oh no, it's going to happen. This is what's going to happen now. This is what's going to happen now. And so by Friday night after we had the reception, we're like, oh man, we just need to move flights around.
Yeah, at that point the airport was closed on Monday, and all of our flights were out on Monday.
Correct.
So we made an audible that night to tear down most of our booth on Saturday night.
Right, and send people home Sunday, and then Saturday, also some people on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, because it was just looking crazy. And then all of a sudden, everything changed.
Yeah, and then Saturday day showed up. It was about the same, but the airport was still closed all the way until Sunday morning, right? So they didn't change that until Sunday morning with the airport being closed. But ultimately, I think with everything that we had in front of us, we made the best decision. I think MACNA, the MACNA team, was
did a great job.
Very supportive of what everyone needed to do. I think the show itself, for having a hurricane kind of bearing down on it, it had great attendance.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did really well. I think it depends on what you're there for, right? I think some of the coral selling people would not be in agreement with me right now because it's kind of hard to think about buying corals and taking them home in the local Florida area when you don't know where a hurricane is going to go.
Even more than that, you didn't. A lot of people were set up to fly out on Monday and had their building an obsession, the little carry-on things, and all those had those ready to go. But you didn't know if your flight would leave on Monday. So you weren't really interested in buying a bunch of coral either, and loading that up.
A lot of uncertainty.
There was just a lot of uncertainty that unfortunately really hurt for the coral guys, I think.
Well, hopefully if we're going to have one in the Florida area anytime down the road, it'll be in a different month.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit like into October. That's the only thing we can hope for.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's any questions here because we are getting some questions and we want to make sure these guys get their questions answered. I don't know. We're missing out on YouTube, but that's life.
Unfortunately.
They'll catch up on it later when I upload it to YouTube. Let's see. So somebody has a question about the calcium test.
Okay.
So we discussed that once before about the remaining amounts in the bottle, so you can go out and see the live stream on that.
The live stream from 2 live streams ago, we talked about that very in-depthly, right? And basically, when your reagent levels fall below 30%, or 20% for that matter, you're in the bottom part of that reagent bottle, right? You might see your calcium numbers or your magnesium numbers going up or down. At this point, we've told you just to replace the reagents at that time.
And we're filling the bottles now, too.
And to take care of that issue, we are overfilling the bottles now, so this will be a non-issue as those get out into the into the sphere. But for the time being, right, just replace the reagents if you are seeing your calcium numbers going up or down. If you're getting 6 weeks out of it, don't worry, we're going to take care of you. Another thing people have been bringing up here and there, Terrence, is the reagents being not indicative, the reagent level infusion not being indicative of what's in there.
Okay.
There's a firmware update that's coming that's going to.
We have a few things coming in a firmware update. No, it's not going to bring back R2D2.
No, R2D2.
R2D2 is dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like Spock. Okay, other questions that we have here. Somebody asked, we got the Trident. How do I personally control my calcium reactor with a dose? I think there's some good information out there already. Dwayne up in Seattle, I know, is doing it. I personally just have 3 different settings for pH, and depending on where my alkalinity level is, either my pH and my calcium reactor goes, high, off, or low.
You're doing it a pretty interesting way, also because you're using a dose, right?
Yes.
So that gives you a certain thing that most people are not using the dose as their feed pump, right?
Right.
And so, but Dwayne, though,
nor do we recommend it.
It runs quite a bit. But Dwayne down up in Seattle has a really good solution for it. Go to the forum. His method for controlling via calcium reactor is all over that. Maybe I'll tackle it on a Let's Talk Reef tech corner at some point. But in general, right now for calcium reactors, right, it's a very small number of people that are using them. And then number 2, it's 300 or 400 level programs.
Yeah, Richard Ross does the simplest thing.
Yeah.
He just turns it off.
Right.
So when his alkalinity gets to a certain point, he just turns it off and then waits for the next test, and he runs, I don't know, 6 or 8 tests a day, and he's not going to drop out that much.
I think our initial recommendation of, let the calcium reactor do 90% of your needs, let additive dosing take care of the extra 10%.
I think that's the best way to go about it.
That's the best way.
For sure. Honey Glazed Ham White is here.
Great setup up there in Toronto.
From Toronto.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. What else do we have going on here? We addressed that one. Are the 6-month packs overfilled? Yes. All the bottles now are filled past the 250 milliliter mark.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, we do have 6-month kits now, too. For those that don't know, it brings the cost down to about 7 cents a test. Or $17 a month. So that's definitely a good deal.
Those 6-month kits are available from all your major resellers, your online guys, your local fish stores that are diamond dealers, being able to carry those things.
Yeah, you will see them out there. And you'll see some up and down on them, too, because, trying to figure out where the actual where they want to have their stock level be and what it needs to be after they get some time behind them and know, okay, this is the kind of the throughput and how much we need to put on the shelf, because they don't want to have them sit on the shelf and then they more or less expire, or they're not they're past the sell by date on them, so they don't want to do that. So they're not, so that you may see some out of stocks.
Yes. I think just in general over the next couple months, we will always be in stock at Neptune Systems. So if you need reagents that day, you can always go there.
On 6-packs, Paul, come on now.
The 6-packs, no guarantee. On the 2-month supplies, though, we will always be in stock on.
Yes.
So. And if we're not, they will be in stock in 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's go on to the next thing. So at MACNA, one of the cool things that Tom does at a lot of our trade shows is he sets up these GoPro cameras, or a GoPro camera, puts it on time-lapse, and then time-lapse is the entire setup of a booth.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be interesting for you guys to see this. It's about a 2-minute video. If we get to the end and we still want to talk about it more, it'll loop, and we'll just keep talking about it.
Right.
Because there is some fun stuff to see in there, and maybe some insight that you guys will have fun seeing. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Let's see if it works. Oh, it works.
Oh, we're little now.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Tom and I showing up on Wednesday morning.
You guys got there ahead of everybody else.
We got there about 6 hours ahead of everyone.
Built all those bookcases.
You can see a lot of IKEA building going on. Beginning of the show, the first 5 hours is building furniture and things like that.
And it's just all the kind of everything out of boxes.
And you can just see Tom and I just sort of going everywhere. Now we're building the
booth
backdrop.
The
backdrop is what we're building now.
Aluminum channel that has to be all bolted together. Thank you to Vincent for coming up with the new nut idea.
The new nut idea is great. Okay, now it's upright. Now we do the very careful application.
Don't have dirty hands.
No dirty hands. Okay, now we built that up. That was a little interesting because the boards that we normally use, they didn't have.
So we had to use the 4-foot boards.
And we had to bolt them all together. Look at that tank. The tank is now in place.
Yeah.
Right? So
now I'm aquascaping.
Now he's aquascaping.
Oh, man, look at that. Sorry for the moving on the camera there.
Right.
So now the aquascape's done.
Yep. Look how long Terrence is sitting there, guys. I just want to point that out.
Hey, you want to start calling things out. That's a dangerous thing for you to call things out.
There are some things that we don't want to see on video.
I can freeze frame at any point here.
So this is the next day. They filled our tank up for a little while. They're like, hey, we'll be back in a little while. Like 4 hours go by. Okay, hey, here we're back now. Nope. Now we're back.
Now we're getting the water in.
Right. Now the apex is coming. Now the apex is coming alive. Right. We got flow.
The board on the front has now been put together.
Yep.
And now it's been taken off. And now, at some point, oh, there we are putting the vinyl on. I saw Joe and I putting vinyl together to put the name on there. Now there's light on the tank. That's good.
Yeah.
Now all the livestock's going in, so they're putting in all the fish and coral into the tank. The livestock
took a while to put in. You'll see why in a little bit, guys and gals.
And yeah, there's lots of stuff still going on in the booth. I don't know, what's that pallet over there in the back corner?
That pallet in the back corner is giving me a lot of burn.
Yeah. So there's Russ up front.
Russ doing IT stuff.
Yeah, Russ IT guy.
So we had a local fusion.
There's my wife, yep. Apex Mom, Nancy's there.
She just showed up.
All right, now the booth is more or less done.
Coming together. This is still night. Oh, you missed the part when we said, "Oh no, it's got to come down."
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we brought the lights on, and that was it.
And that's basically it. Oh, John just showed up. John just showed up after everything was set up,
and then it resets. So I hope that was fun. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody's watching that. They're talking about R2D2.
We think it's cool.
We think it's
really cool. We put I don't know how many hours going into that, and
the booth or putting the video together. The video together took me 6.5 minutes.
Right? But just like all of the thought and consideration that goes to building that booth. And then, I mean, Tom and I literally started 10 a.m. on
you guys
Wednesday,
cranked it out.
And we were done with the booth 10 p.m. on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we were there probably until late on Wednesday night.
Wednesday night was a late one, and we went out pizza. But then Thursday, we're usually into the evening, late in the evening.
We're usually midnight
and we were done, didn't know what to do with ourselves.
It was great.
More or less.
We went and socialized.
Yeah.
Which is like... freaks went and socialized. It was fun.
But, okay, that's that. So what, after we got the booth together, and then the next day, how did everything look? Well, this is maybe a couple days into it. But this is what the main center point to the booth was, which was this 4-foot by 4-foot by 28-inch high aquarium, and had a lot of partners that helped us put this together. Yep. Aquarium Marketing did the glass. We had MRC did the stand. Geo's Reef did that incredible...
There'll be a shot of that in a little bit of the sump and the plumbing that was done there. Saradar at Geo's Reef just knocked it out of the park.
Then we have Real Reef Rock in there.
Yep.
We had VCA for the flow on there.
Yep. If you don't know about VCA, look it up.
Yeah.
And put that on your return nozzle.
And we had Aquatic Life for the lighting.
The dimmable T5s.
Dimmable T5 hybrids with the old school Kessel 360s that are controllable.
I would have loved to put the X's on.
I mean, hey, if that dongle
was
would get, using the API that they have that we've given them, then it would be controllable.
We're ready.
Yeah.
Just get it done, guys.
Yeah.
There's the sump.
Yeah, there's the sump.
I love that sump.
And it should repeat again anyway for those that want to see it. But we had some incredible fish in
here.
And
then Top Shelf Aquatics was our partner at the booth. If you were
How can we leave them out?
Definitely saw it. They organized all of the livestock, organized all of this beautiful coral. The coral came from Chris over at ACI. He had all of these mother colonies. We got Australian Lobos in there and everything else. The clowns came from Sustainable Aquatics. No. The clowns came from Sea and Reef.
Sea and Reef.
Sorry, guys. Clowns came from Sea and Reef, and all the fish came from Top Shelf directly. Beautiful
amazing
fish.
Naso tang. Yep. We had the gem tang in there, and the look downs that were schooling in the tank were amazing. So all of that was it was great having it in the booth, and definitely we try to make at MACNA now it's a thing. There's a standard to be met,
right?
And there's an expectation from all of our customers and everything. So, and now this particular tank is at Aquatropics,
which is in Gainesville, Florida. They're a brand new platinum reseller of Neptune Systems products. What a great way to start off. You have just a great display system. So you can, if you're in the Florida area, in the Gainesville area, stop by and check out this tank. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool tank, and I think they have it all set up now.
It
probably doesn't have this level of coral in it.
Not yet.
But they will have a great display, I'm sure. Okay, let's see if we can go to the next thing here, Paul. So we had an incredible Meetup breakfast. Every year, for those of you who don't know, this is the 7th year that we've done it. We do Friday morning, kind of a thank you to all of our control freaks,
right?
As well as people who might be interested in getting into to the Apex world and buying our products. And we do a breakfast, and we do presentations. This year we had Richard Ross and Mr. Saltwater Tank.
Both gave great presentations.
And then we did a speed round, which was awesome.
That was so cool.
Yeah. And we had like overpriced food.
No, I mean, Terrence, there's a premium.
It's like caviar breakfast sandwiches or something. Anyway, I know I got to wash that out of my mind. Okay, it's over.
Just move on.
Got to move on from that. And it was a great event. We had approaching 300 people in the event. We had over 250 that checked in.
I think it was over 300.
Yeah,
over 300 was the final number.
All the pre-registered people got goodie bags.
75% of the pre-registers were there, which I thought was great considering that there was a hurricane bearing down on us. And that's when we also didn't know when it was going to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then great walk-ins. So
it was a great event. So one of the things I wanted to do for you guys here, maybe some of you did not go to the event. I wanted to go through kind of a few of the slides and some of the information that was presented there. And I'm going to kind of speed through the speed round and be the proxy for those guys because they had some really interesting information. And Paul, you and I can discuss it as we're going through it. I was really pleased. We put this together at the last minute, and those guys really rocked it good.
So, Terrence, describe the speed round for those of us.
Yeah, so probably a week beforehand, I told all of our people out there on the live stream and everything else, I said, if you want to present at the event, we will take presenters to give a 5-minute presentation. You will be cut off at 5 minutes.
Yep.
And the crowd will basically judge who was the best, and the winner will get a Trident.
Yes.
And so we had 4 different people go up and give presentations, and they were all did a great job.
Yep.
2 of them probably did, I would say, equal job. But one of them dressed up in a purple unicorn costume.
It's all about presentation, right?
They just went that little extra mile more. And so anyway, let's go through the deck and some of the stuff that we had. Let's see if I can get this to work through your thing. You can drive it for me because you know how to drive your thing for me. So, by the way, this is the new slogan. It's stability solved for Neptune Systems because now you have the dose, you have your Apex, which does all the other stability things, and with the Trident, of course, now it's all done. So we had this breakfast. You can go ahead, Paul. You can you'll listen to me. Obviously, it was our 7th one. And the first thing I want to do is thank the sponsors. The first sponsor is Premium Aquatics. Once again, thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you. You guys did all of the goodie bag sponsorship for all the cool stuff. I don't have one here, but our pint glasses and other goodies that were in there. Then we had saltwateraquarium.com, who sponsored the breakfast. They paid for the breakfast, all that good eats. And so we really appreciate them as well. And then, of course, Bulk Reef Supply, who again sponsored this year. And they, ponied up a bunch of prizes, really cool prizes for the raffle.
A lot of raffle prizes. Almost $4,500 in raffle prizes, right, Terrence?
Yeah.
That's not even including the Apex stuff.
Yes.
It was just $4,500 from BRS, like lights and everything else. And then
people walked away with a lot of gear from this thing.
If there's no other reason to come to the meetup,
yeah.
Your chances are very good. There were 300 people in that room, and I would say there were probably over 50 chances to win something.
Yeah, something. Something.
So.
All right. So one of the things I also wanted to review with you guys is how big the community's gotten. We've got so many people out on the forum that every year it goes up 25 to 30%. So there's now 21,000 members. That's a 27% increase, I believe. Yeah, it's amazing. If you guys aren't using the forum, if you're just out here on the Facebook group, go give it a look. But the Facebook group, of course, has been growing like crazy too. Mm-hmm. There's like 6,000 members out on the Facebook group, so thank you guys. So important to help each other out with that. And as far as the event, I wanted to talk about some things with the Trident. I saw here a couple of people on here said, "What's up with the Trident?" I don't know where their comments went.
Why is it taking so long?
When's it? Dave Bell. There's Dave Bell. When Trident gonna be available? So
Terrence was just testing his mic. I mean,
yeah,
it was immediately right there.
Yeah. So in this event, I kind of wanted to let people know what's going on, why it's not something we can just turn on a faucet. So if you don't know what the Trident is, for those of you out there under a rock, obviously it's like a first of its kind device that tests these three parameters. But most people are thinking, and you guys on this are thinking this too, where can I buy these?
Yes.
Because they seem to be out of stock everywhere. And they're like, why don't I just call up China and, order up some more, right?
Right.
Just keep them coming, Paul. I'll speak to them. It's fine. Well, it's not that simple. We can't just go to China, okay? All of our stuff comes from around the world. Parts come here to Morgan Hill, California. And we have people here who put stuff together. All of our circuit boards, too, for the most part, are built in the local area. It is Silicon Valley. We don't have one of those machines that you see here because
we don't need it.
We don't need it.
We have so many houses in line where we can have direct influence.
And they're competitive, too.
Yes.
So it works out really well for us. But once these parts get here, the sub-assemblies are built by the people here in our factory here in Morgan Hill. There's a lot of different people building different pieces. You see some of the internal components right there. Then they put them together. It goes into the final assembly. Then after the final assembly is done, obviously it's got to go into testing and calibration. Mm-hmm. And we have a number of setups there for testing and calibration. What has to happen? Well, the units have to be functionally tested and primed to begin with, and that takes a certain amount of time. And then the first tests have to be run, and precision has to be verified on them. That's another about 60 minutes that have to go on. Then after that, we go and run a full calibration on them, right, with the known standards. If anything fails, then it's got to go back in, checked out what's going on with it, then put it back into the mix again to be tested. Total time is approaching 6 hours just in this, the assembly and testing time for these, if nothing really goes wrong. Right. And this is the real reason why we can't just turn a valve. It's not like we can just call someone else and say, let's go. It's not also like we can just hire a bunch of people to do this. This is qualified, Well, not only that, but if you do and you train them, we're right now at the peak of demand. Right. At some point, the demand is going to fall off a little bit. Right. And when it does, you don't want to, have to lay people off for that. So right now, we're still exceeding the demand that we had expected. And, because of that, there's going to be still out of stock out there. Yeah. And we don't know when it's going to end because the demand does far exceed what we had expected. So that's great. Awesome. Keep it up. We love it.
Yes, and you know, it is to be said too, our production team is getting more efficient, right? We are learning the most effective ways to do this. They are getting better. We are shipping more than we've ever shipped of Tridents in a per day amount. You know?
It's just not going to be a multiple of 2 or 3 or anything like that. It is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this is one of the things I just wanted to get across to people so they had a little bit more insight as to how it goes.
And this was a little bit shortened, I think, version of what you did at the Meetup.
Yes.
You know, but it definitely gives an overview of what we're working with.
Yep.
So.
Also, some of the other things, too, just that I reviewed with people is that we do have a new PMUP. So if you're watching this and you don't know that, we do have a new PMUP. We obviously have some new things in there, like, it's got automatic shutoff when dry. It's got temperature protection in it. It stands up. It's easy to clean. All of those things in the new PMUP. Again, those are over demand, under supply right now, along with the ATK V2. But they should be back in stock, I think, in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Again, just demand far exceeded our expectations, and the supply on the pumps is down. We will have new pumps soon.
So that's good. We love having more business than we expect.
Yes.
But that's the way it goes. So every year at MACNA, we get to the meetup, and this is the place where we tell people.
It's like there's a drum roll.
Yes.
The entire time you're presenting, there's a drum roll of what is next.
Everybody is just sitting there waiting to see what's going on.
Right.
And last year, well, not this last one, but the year before's MACNA, we actually asked people, hey, tell us what you want, right? What do you want to see in the next products? And, maybe it's a later one. Did I miss that one? Did I not put it in there?
No, you didn't put it in there.
Anyway, so, okay, sorry, this is not that part of the presentation. I've skipped ahead, Paul. So the next thing is, what are we working on right now? So we're refining the UI. And the user experience. We do have a new person on the development team, relatively new, who's really focused on doing this. The first thing that's going to come out is a new setup for the Apex, which if you're already an Apex person, it's probably not going to help you a ton. But your friends who you're getting to be Apex people, the setup is going to be so much cleaner, and it is a kind of a preview of what's to come in the interface and the way that we're going to deal with the UI. Okay. Oh, Cody. Look at Cody joined on. Thanks for joining, Cody. Okay. Now where are we, Paul?
I don't know. Oh, I think now's the point of what's next. What's after the UI?
Oh, yes. So what's next?
So now
I'm supposed to say what I said there?
Yeah.
So we always have something that's a big reveal, and it's coming out soon, and we want to tell everybody about it, and everybody, there's the drum roll, and exactly.
Yeah.
And this year, it was a little bit, wait a sec. So we did have...
These are all the options.
You're screwing this up,
Yeah,
Paul.
I'm sorry.
Both of us are. It's okay.
It's okay.
This is what people last year got to vote on that they thought was most important. And so there were some things on there that definitely rose to the top above the others.
Yes.
So we take that in, obviously, consideration, and this is what we're going to have coming up. I guess you're going to have to guess, because we, with the Trident, kind of backed ourselves into a corner that, as a company, we decided we're not going to do anymore.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are disappointed because they liked getting a sneak peek of what's on the horizon.
What is your engineering team working on right now?
Yeah, what's coming up in 3 months that we're going to be able to buy.
Right.
And we're not doing that anymore, because the flip side of that was we had some slips with the Trident. It's a great product now, but it's hard for people to remember back how much pain we got from a lot of people by not having it for them.
And just pain, just not having it, not having it for them right now,
Right.
If you're unable to get one. And, we're going to try something new, and that's not talking about the product until it's ready.
Yeah.
We'll probably give you a little bit of a sneak peek once we know the.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
I mean, come on, Terrence.
I
know you can. Once you know,
it's hard for me.
I know
it's really hard for me.
There are some exciting things going on here behind these walls, guys. Behind this question mark.
Hang on. Where's my cursor?
I don't know. I think it's
there. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind this brick wall right here, there are things happening. Amazing things happening. And we can't talk about them, but it will be a big deal for the aquatics industry, some of the things we're working on.
You're right, Antonio. I cannot hold back. It's very hard.
It is.
Yes.
It's super difficult.
Yes.
But we're going to, and We'll see what comes of it.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's any other questions here, Paul, to take from people. When are the core pumps going to be available? Just kidding. From Jonathan Gordon.
Okay. Let's scroll up a little bit. I saw some good ones in there.
Where can I get Apex swag? So a lot of the stuff is available out on shop.neptunesystems.com.
Shop.neptunesystems.com.
Not the collector
gear.
pint.
Yep.
No, the pint glass is not available.
See that one there at the bottom? Okay.
Richard Back's on. Thank you, Richard, for joining us.
R2D2. Okay. Yeah, this is we're covering.
Paul, you had me like there was a question.
I thought there was. Maybe I don't want to answer it.
No, maybe that's it.
Maybe I just don't.
So there are ideas here, right? Somebody says battery backup would be sweet. Smaller wave would be great. Integrated webcams would be awesome.
An integrated webcam would be awesome.
So there's lots of awesome ideas on that list for sure. And I know the people over in the UK and in the EU are like, new energy bar.
Yeah.
I can't believe none of them are on here. They must be YouTube people.
Yeah.
So that must be a big part of it. But
it's incessant.
Yeah, they never end.
We know you want to.
But there's a lot of things in the works, and know
behind this brick wall.
Behind the brick wall
could be something.
And we're not going to just be sitting here doing nothing. So
yeah.
I think that's about it, Paul. That's all I had scheduled. Oh, wait a sec. I do have a couple shout-outs here for local fish stores.
You want to do this?
Oh, speed round.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's burn through that. How much time we got? Oh, we got time.
Yeah.
So, speed round. Speed round is... I put them out of order, that's why.
Jeff, yes, you can. Just send us an email.
Oh, okay. So, speed round was these guys doing 5-minute prezos. I'm going to do it even faster than they did.
Okay.
And if you want any more information about these, go out to either the Facebook group, the official Neptune Systems Facebook users group, or out to forum.neptunesystems.com. So let's start burning through them, Paul.
You need to...
What?
Just go to Keynote.
I need to go to Keynote.
Yep.
No. Okay, we're back. Okay.
Keynote.
Oh, look at that. It even worked. Speed round.
All right.
Okay. Keep going. So it's an Apex-related topic. 5 minutes. I already told you. You guys, you can't decide the winner because we already did that. Okay, you passed one now. This was Jason. Jason Garcia is actually the person who gave the idea, or I should say the seed of this idea to do the speed round. And Jason is a person who works with giant pipes, and this is some of the stuff he works with. And he wanted to talk about redundancy for your core pumps. And here you see his setup with 2 core pumps, with 2 check valves, and a couple of gate valves on there. Looks like a fan. And what he set up was a virtual outlet that has some other programming you'll see in a second, that if that virtual outlet was on, then it would turn on the second pump. Okay, so go to the next one. So basically he has in this virtual outlet some things like, well, if the flow was too low in his first pump, or there's other things going on, boom, now you get your second pump coming on.
Right, and he's nesting these things in virtual outlets, more or less.
And he also had something really interesting too, which was he basically would often turn that pump on just to keep it, make sure it's always running. Because you don't want to have that secondary pump just sitting there never being used. So I think he would toggle back and forth between the 2 pumps and always have one ready to go.
Right.
It's really a neat idea.
It was a neat idea. I think it was pretty in-depth, right?
Yeah.
It was a very detailed conversation.
It was too much for 5 minutes.
Yes.
But the concept is one I've been trying to drive home to people for a long time.
2 return pumps, right? If you are in a large enough tank that justifies 2 return pumps, do 2 return pumps.
Or you do 2 like he did, which is you're only using 1 at a time. You have the other one on hot standby. So if you're on vacation or something and it stops working, boom, you've got it ready to go. Okay, next one. This one is about mounting boards. This is Josh Peebles, okay, out of Cocoa, Florida. And Josh, the interesting thing about Josh is that's a 10-gallon nano tank with that much gear on it.
I love it.
It is, I made the joke during the thing that he bought the tank just so he could justify buying all the Neptune gear.
Of course.
So he got the smallest tank he could. Yeah. Anyway, he shows some ways to do some things on the mounting. Keep going, Paul. First of all, you can get a pre-made board from a place like Marine Depot. They sell boards already made. Another thing that he brought up, which is super important, is the templates. They're out on the documentation page. So you can go out to the docs page and see that there are mounting templates for each and every one of these. This is what they look like. What's really cool about the mounting templates is you can just tape a bunch of them together and line up those lines that we have on there. and tape it all out, drill all your holes through the paper, then tear all the paper off. You can even mount your stuff through the paper and tear the paper off later, and everything will line up.
Yep.
So that's a really neat thing. And here you can see him lining it up. You notice he's got the paper on there to show the live area below. All the wires are ugly behind, but when you're done, there's nothing ugly in the front. It just looks really cool.
Yep.
So that was his presentation. He's showing some other stuff that he did there. And, of course, now he needs to put a Trident down, and he was hoping he would win. Okay, next one is John Walker. And John Walker is from Pennsylvania. That's what he's trying to tell us here. And he's almost been 10 years as a control freak. And he also had a display board kind of thing that he wanted to talk about. So he has been a professional in audio gear, and so he brought across, and I thought this was the coolest thing in all the presentations because it just made me stop and go, wait a second, I'm an idiot. How come I didn't think about this? And it's
never thought about it.
Yeah, it's a simple spacer, and you're like, oh, what's a spacer used for? Well, if you look at all of these boards, they basically have the wire routing below all of your modules.
Right.
And that's because obviously you have to mount your module. Well, he says, get these spacers, mount your modules and your other pieces of equipment with the spacers, and then put the hole behind it so you never see the hole. And you route your wires down and up and into that hole.
Perfect.
And this is such a clever solution because now you can see everything gets hidden behind on his Apex 832 there. It's just as clean as can be. Everything goes in.
Too, where it's just spaced off a little bit off the back of the mounting
And
board.
he's talking here too about labeling everything, which is for me it's something I tell everybody else to do that I never do. Where are you going, Paul? Okay, now you can look at his thing. Look how clean that is. No holes showing the wires going through. They're all behind every one of the modules. What an awesome idea!
Oh, look, a little Harry Singer control box.
Oh yeah, Harry's giving a shout out to Harry Singer with his control box. Cool. But definitely a really neat setup. I like how it all looks, and kudos to you, man. Absolutely. Next one was Jeff Stevenson, who had some really cool ideas too. Again, I think it was a little bit long for a 5-minute. Go back, don't.
Sorry.
You're going a little fast there. The first thing he talked about is a simple way, which I think all of you guys, if you don't know about how to do this, it's a really cool idea, which is get a light. It can be a rope light. It can be a clamp light, as long as it's not clamped into the water. Any kind of light. Plug it into an outlet. Then you go ahead and you get a magnetic switch, like the old school ones you use for alarm systems on your doors.
Yep.
Go ahead and advance that, and then you hook that up to your breakout box. You hook one wire to the common, one wire to the one number on there. Set it up in your Apex so that light basically comes on and off as that opens and closes.
On the door it opens, yeah.
And you open the door with those magnetic switches, and your light comes on in your sump. You close the door, it goes off.
Yeah.
It's really cool. He took it another step from there, and I'm not going to get into the details of what he did, but you can go out. I think he's talking to people about what you can do. He got an Arduino type setup with some custom colored lights that you could put codes in to the lights to tell what color could come out. And then he used the 0 to 10 input to say, okay, at 1 volt, right, or 10%,
it's this.
It's this color.
It's basically, just kind of summarize everything that he did. It's really cool is, you're getting a lot of sensory input all the time. And, you may be getting a text message that you're getting an alert. Some of those alerts have different degrees of importance, right? And so the idea that he did was things that I want to know about and things that everyone in the house should stop about. If you see a red glow behind the tank, it's mission critical. If you see an orange glow, I'll get to it.
Something's going on.
If a green glow, we're all good.
Right.
So he
really neat idea.
He basically kind of categorizes alerts to sort of be responsive.
This is definitely I would even say this is 500 level graduate course.
Yes, because there was a Arduino programming in there,
and as soon as you start stripping wires and stuff, you're in 300 or 400 level.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is he even put one behind his TV because you're not looking at your tank all the time. So and putting a light behind your TV is actually something that you do to make your eyes have less fatigue when you're watching TV.
Right.
And so he just made that light so when something bad was happening, immediately that would go on, and then people who weren't paying attention to the tank would know as well.
Exactly.
And then he created mood lighting as well behind the tank, which is just really, really neat.
I didn't see all of that one.
And
I was running around doing different things.
So definitely a very cool presentation. All of the speed round was amazing.
Yeah.
definitely something we'll bring back next year.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to win cool gear next year
for the next Neptune
start
Systems
thinking
product,
exactly. What the next year's new product will be, you might be able to get for free. Then start thinking about what your 5-minute and start refining that 5-minute presentation ahead of time.
All right.
Okay, I think that's it.
No, theme of the show in general. I think you want to talk about any of that.
Oh, yeah, we've got those things. Thanks for looking at my sheet, Paul. I'm so unprepared today. I'm just in the different space.
There's a lot going on.
We have a lot of stuff going on. So another thing, too, that was at the show that I want to give a shout-out for is at the banquet every year. They give out awards. They give out an MACNA award, which is for a person who has a long-time contribution to the marine aquarium hobby. Mm-hmm. And then they have an Aquarist of the Year, which is someone who has a shorter time, that's how it was explained to me, a shorter time contributions to the hobby, but super important. And this year, the Aquarist of the Year was Tom Bowling from Biota Aquariums, or Biota Aquaculture.
Yep.
I probably got that wrong. And then the MACNA award was Craig Bingman. Now, Tom Bowling is doing amazing things out there in Palau.
Aquaculture. Yeah.
In Papua New Guinea. He is PNG or Palau? I get him confused. Anyway, he is breeding all sorts of new fish out there and bringing them into the trade. So they're the fish that we can actually use, not just conspics are great. Mm-hmm.
But fish that everyday fish, right?
Yes.
For me, he's doing a couple trimmas, right?
Oh, really?
Trimma gobies, they're aquaculturing as well. They're doing 3 different trimmas, and I'm like, trimmas are really hard to ship. They're really hard to get, and they keep alive once you get them. And he's doing.
And nobody wants them except you.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people that want them, but they can't get them, right? Okay. And he's doing 3 species that I had never heard of before. I got a couple of them just recently in my tank, and I'm looking forward to some of the other ones.
Okay. So, well, Tom is definitely doing great things for the hobby. And, it's important. It's important that we have as much of this aquaculture stuff going on, because there may come a day where wild collection is either going to be so incredibly restrained or gone altogether. So,
and I think you'll touch on that in a second.
Yes. So the other thing is Craig Bingman. And Craig helps us with stuff too. He's helped us a lot with the Trident stuff.
Chemistry.
Yeah, he is organic PhD. I'm going to get that all wrong. I don't know all of his bona fides, but the guy's a brain, and a brain in chemistry. And he's been in the hobby for a long time. And he was the person that you probably don't even know this, but he is the person who really refined from the beginning the calcium and alkalinity, what you need to have to grow corals in your tank, and really brought that to the masses of what you need to do to make sure that you can keep corals alive and build coral structure.
And turning that into helping people turn that into a product,
yes,
right? So that you could bolus dose.
He's the hidden guy behind some products that you use today.
Yes, and
a super nice guy with a great family, and it was very well deserved. And he gave a really great speech. It was
very from the heart.
So so that's Craig Bingman, and then we had Vincent Chalias from Valley Aquaculture, right?
Yeah.
Valley Aqua Ridge. I get them mixed up, the names of all these aquaculture things. But anyway, Vincent got up and did a keynote on getting our act together as an industry, as a hobby, as professionals, all of these people to come together to figure out how we're going to more or less save the hobby and keep it alive for a long time in the future, and gave basically some hard truths to all of us of what we need to pay attention to. It's too much for this show to get into, but maybe down the road we'll have some more topics on this here on Let's Talk Reef, because I too think it's super important.
I do too, and we have a lot of people out there, that don't want to see us keeping aquariums and doing that successfully, right? They, there's just like with, there's a lot of mistruths in the things that they say.
Yeah.
And it's battling those.
And they're after us, they're after the hobby, and we just need to do better for ourselves. We need to set good examples, and there's much of that there. So anyway, that was that part of MACNA, and we really enjoyed that. We really enjoyed the show, and we had to come home a day early, but it didn't really sting that much.
No, it didn't. I mean, we were still there all through Sunday. They shut down a little early on Sunday than they normally do, but we were there until the end. At least Tom was.
Yes.
It was a great show all in all, and I definitely wanted to make some things happen when I got back.
Right.
And
the last thing, Paul, that I want to do, because we're going to close it down right here at about the 1 hour mark. We're actually up there, if you can believe that.
Well, we can go on for a while.
I want to just give a shout out to a couple of local fish stores. The first one we already spoke about, which is Top Shelf. We couldn't have pulled off that tank there at the event without Top Shelf.
They were there, guys. So much of why the show was successful for us is because of the support of resellers, and Top Shelf is one of the best resellers we have, and I just want to thank them very much for all their support. Alex and Steve and Kevin, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. The other one I'm going to give a shout out to is one from kind of my hometown, Canoga Park, California, where I spent most of my youth growing up, is Aquarium City, which was there when I grew up.
Right.
They've been around forever, and Sean out there is now, I believe, one of the owners, and they are now a platinum dealer of ours.
Right.
It took them a while to come around. They saw the light, and now they love the product so much that they're right behind the register up on the wall, all the orange and gray for everyone to see.
Great.
And I got a personal call from him a few weeks ago to say, Terrence, thank you for pushing me so hard to become a dealer. It's been awesome for us. Our customers asked for it, and now they come in and see it. So
great.
Happy for them, and be glad to go out there and see it, and see hopefully Vincent's setting them up with a good demo and everything else out there.
Yeah.
Pay a visit the next time I'm out there. But that's it, Paul.
Great. It was a great show.
Great show. Another good Let's Talk Reef. The next Let's Talk Reef will be 2 weeks from today.
We'll have the
Tuesday.
We'll have the studio in place.
It'll be back together.
Yeah,
Everything will be
so all of our things, and we won't be blinded here.
And that'll be on the 24th. One last thing before I actually hit the closeout on here. Want to be thinking about 9/11 tomorrow. All the first responders that make us safe, and everything that happened 18 years ago tomorrow. Put a little thought in for them. Say some nice words to first responders out there.
Definitely.
And on that note, enjoy those fish.
Thanks, guys.